We all have a resume or a CV, right? But we almost never look at them as a story. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're taking the dense, detailed CV of an academic and uncovering the human story of passion and dedication that's been hiding in there for 34 years. We're looking at a life's work in the humanities.
So that's really the big question here, isn't it? We're going beyond the bullet points and the publication dates of Dr. Anupam Nagar's career to find that narrative thread, the story of how intellectual curiosity, a love for teaching, and real leadership came together to build a lasting impact.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start at the very beginning, with his academic foundation. Then, we'll trace his path as an educator and a scholar. After that, we'll see how he channeled that expertise into mentoring and leadership. And finally, we'll take a look at the incredible legacy he's built. Every great career has to start somewhere, right? It needs a solid foundation, these deep roots. For an academic, those roots are formed during years of intense study, where they build an intellectual identity that's going to fuel their work for decades. Dr. Nagar's educational journey shows this really clear progression, all leading up to his PhD in English in 1993. And here's the kicker. Look at that thesis topic, mysticism in Tagore's poetry. This wasn't just some final paper he had to write. This was the spark, the foundational seed from which his entire scholarly life was going to grow. Okay, so with that solid foundation in place, Dr. Nagar then launched into a long and really distinguished career, putting all that knowledge into practice, both in the classroom and in running academic institutions. Just 34 plus years. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than 3 decades poured into lecturing, guiding students, and being part of the daily life of higher education. It's a truly profound level of commitment. And you can really see the journey here. It's this clear upward path. He kicks things off as a lecturer in 91, but you see this steady climb, moving up to a university reader, and then boom, taking on his first headlining role as principal in 2004. This shows a career that grew from teaching students to leading entire colleges. But, a scholar's impact isn't just in the classroom. It's really measured by their contributions to the global conversation through their research and writing. This is where we get to hear the scholar's own voice. The sheer volume of his work is just staggering. 22 books, 50 research papers, and on and on. So how do you even begin to wrap your head around all of that? Well, the key is to look past the numbers and find the patterns, the recurring themes that tie it all together. And this is where it gets really interesting. This chart basically visualizes the intellectual heart of his career. Remember that PhD on Tagore? Well, look at that. It's the core of everything. And from there, his work just branched out into all these related fields: Indian thought, Gandhian studies, comparative literature, creating this rich, totally interconnected web of scholarship. Let's just stop on that number for a moment. 22 books. In the world of the humanities, books are the gold standard. A number like that represents an absolutely incredible output, from his own poetry and critical studies to edited collections that brought other scholars' voices together. And you can see those themes we just talked about playing out right here in his book titles. The journey kicks off with his thesis-turned book on Tagore back in 1995, and it comes full circle with revisiting Rabindranath Tagore almost 30 years later. And in between, you can see all those explorations of Gandhian thought and his comparative work on Thoreau. It all ties together. So beyond his own writing, a huge part of a career like this is the impact you have on other people. Dr. Nagar has played a crucial role in shaping the next generation of scholars and really contributing to the governance of academic institutions. And this right here, this is how you build a legacy. He's already guided 10 PhD students all the way through, and he's got 3 more on the go right now. Each one of those dissertations is like a new branch of knowledge growing directly from his mentorship. This is how an entire field expands, one scholar at a time. And his leadership wasn't just confined to his own college. By serving on university senates and boards, he helped shape academic policy on a much bigger systemic level. And by organizing all these seminars, he created these vital platforms for other scholars to share their work on the very topics he cared about, from Thoreau to Mahatma Gandhi. All right, so when you pour your life into something, people start to notice, and that brings us to the formal recognition Dr. Nagar has received over the years for all of his contributions. What's cool about this timeline of awards is that it tells its own story. It's not just one type of achievement.
It starts with this international recognition for his creative work as a poet, and then evolves over time to include multiple Best Principal awards honoring his leadership. It just shows a career that really excelled in both the creative and the administrative sides of academia. But maybe the best way to understand his philosophy is to hear it in his own words. The title of a paper he presented back in 2014, Education is for Life, Not for Living, is so revealing. It's this idea that learning isn't just about getting a job. It's about building a richer, more meaningful human experience. So, when you put it all together, what do you see? It's pretty clear you can't just slap one label on this career. He's a scholar, publishing his work. He's an educator, shaping young minds. An administrator, leading institutions. A poet, being creative. And a mentor, guiding the next generation. And this whole journey, deconstructing this one incredible career, really leaves us with a bigger question to chew on. In a world that's so focused on rapid change and technology, what can we learn from a life that's been devoted to the enduring power of literature, philosophy, and education? What's the value of that kind of dedication today? That's definitely something we're thinking about.